$1 billion. Still broke. They just offered you $10 million. You accept. Then the room goes silent. Seconds stretch into what feels like an eternity. The manager clears their throat. A telltale sign of discomfort. Their eyes dart to the number on the table again. Then back to the candidate. The silence isn't just awkward. It's a pressure cooker, and someone's about to crack. But who? The manager's voice cracks as they speak. Their words rushed and stilted. We were actually hoping for something closer to... Their eyes flick to the number again. Then back to the candidate. The silence has done its work. The candidate's expression doesn't change, but the manager's posture relaxes. Just slightly, the offer is about to be adjusted. The manager slides a revised figure across the table. Their voice steady now, almost relieved. We can meet you halfway. The candidate's eyes don't leave the number. The silence that followed their initial offer wasn't a mistake. It was a calculated move, and it just cost the manager an extra 22% of their budget. Cut to a bustling street market in Jakarta. The air thick with the scent of spices and the hum of haggling voices. A vendor slaps a price tag onto a basket of fresh mangoes. Their voice loud and confident. A buyer steps forward. Their gaze locking onto the vendor's face. They say nothing, just stand there, staring. The vendor's smile falters. The vendor's fingers tighten around the price tag, their brow furrowing. They glance around, checking if anyone else is watching. The buyer remains silent, their expression unreadable. The vendor's voice wavers as they lower the price, their confidence crumbling under the weight of the silence. The buyer's silence isn't passive. It's a weapon. The vendor's voice cracks as they name a new price, one that's 40% lower than their original demand. The buyer's silence has forced them to confront a truth. In this moment, the buyer holds all the power. The vendor's body language shifts, their shoulders slumping slightly. They've been outmaneuvered by something intangible: silence. Neither the candidate in the boardroom nor the buyer in the Jakarta market used scripts. They didn't rely on charm or persuasion. They exploited something far more powerful, a hardwired glitch in the human brain. Silence isn't just the absence of sound. It's a social threat, and the brain treats it like one. Imagine standing in a room where the lights suddenly go out. Your heart races. Your breath quickens. You're not afraid of the dark. You're afraid of what it might hide. Silence works the same way. It's not just a pause. It's a signal that something is wrong, and the brain reacts as if it's facing a predator. The candidate in the boardroom and the buyer in Jakarta didn't need scripts because they understood this truth. Silence isn't passive. It's a psychological weapon. And the science behind it starts with an experiment from the 1950s that would shatter the idea of human conformity forever. Picture this. A room filled with strangers, all staring at a simple line judgment task. One person answers first, then another. But here's the twist. Some of those answers are wrong. And when the wrong answers come from someone else, 75% of the people in the room will follow along, even if they know it's incorrect, until one person stays silent. That silence wasn't just a pause. It was a break in the spell. The moment someone refused to conform, the pressure to follow along vanished. The brain can't tolerate ambiguity for long, and silence forces it to confront the void where answers should be. It's not intuition. It's a documented psychological weapon. This isn't just about negotiation tactics or market haggling. It's about understanding the raw mechanics of human interaction. Silence doesn't just fill space. It forces the brain to confront its own vulnerabilities. And words often fail. That silence might just be the most powerful tool we have. The year was 1951. A young psychology student steps into a dimly lit room at Swarthmore College. Around him, strangers sit in straight-back chairs, each holding a card with 3 lines of varying length. None know this is no ordinary test. It's the birthplace of a social weapon. Solomon Ash places a card in front of the student. The lines are clear, one is noticeably longer. The student points without hesitation. But this is just the setup. The real test begins when the Confederates, all planted by Ash. Begin giving the wrong answers aloud. The student hesitates, then conforms. 75% of the students conformed at least once. They ignored their own eyes, their own logic, to match the group. Ash had uncovered something profound. Humans crave social harmony so desperately that they will sacrifice truth to maintain it. But here's the twist. When just one Confederate stayed silent instead of answering, conformity plummeted. Silence wasn't just absence. It was a disruption. The brain, wired for social cues, detected the absence of an answer as a threat. The student's mind scrambled. Searching for an explanation, was the silence a sign of dissent? A challenge? The ambiguity forced them to question the group dynamic itself. Fast forward to 1963. Another experiment unfolds in a different kind of room. One lined with switches and dials. Stanley Milgram's participants are told to administer electric shocks to a stranger for wrong answers. The stranger screams in pain. The participants hesitate. But when the experimenter pauses silently after each command, the hesitation turns to paralysis. The participants didn't just hesitate. They questioned the authority. The silence forced them to confront the morality of their actions. Milgram's study revealed that silence wasn't just a pause. It was a mirror held up to the soul. It exposed the cracks in obedience, the fragility of blind following. Gregory Bateson, the anthropologist and cybernetician, later theorized that silence created a double bind. A no-win scenario where the brain was forced to reconcile conflicting signals. The participant heard the command, saw the suffering, but the silence left them without a script. Their minds raced, searching for an escape from the ambiguity. These weren't just academic exercises. They were glimpses into the human condition. A condition where silence could shatter conformity, expose moral dilemmas, and force individuals to confront their own complicity. The brain, hardwired for social harmony, found itself at odds with the void left by silence. But how did silence achieve such power? The answer lay in the brain's error detection circuitry. When conversational rhythms faltered, the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex lit up like a fire alarm. The brain treated silence as a physical threat, a violation of the social contract. It wasn't just about words anymore. It was about survival. The experiments revealed something even more chilling. Silence wasn't passive. It was an active force, a psychological weapon that could dismantle groupthink, expose hypocrisy, and force individuals to think for themselves. The brain, once lulled into compliance, found itself in uncharted territory, where the absence of words became the loudest signal of all. Imagine being in that room, surrounded by strangers. Your mind racing to fill the silence. The pressure mounts. You start to second-guess yourself. Was your initial answer correct? Are the others right? The silence doesn't just make you doubt your judgment. It makes you doubt your very place in the group. This is just the beginning. Subscribe to see more amazing content. Fire. This wasn't just about psychology, it was about power. The ability to hold silence, to refuse to fill the void, became a tool to challenge authority, to stand out in a crowd. The experiments showed that silence wasn't weakness. It was resistance. It was the quiet rebellion of the mind refusing to be controlled. But here's the question that lingers. If silence could shatter conformity in a lab, what happens when it's wielded in the real world? Can it break down walls in negotiations? Uncover truths in conversations? Or will it simply leave us more confused than ever, searching for answers in the void? The experiments of Ash, Milgram, and Bateson didn't just reveal the power of silence. They laid bare the fragile nature of human conformity. Words often fail us. Silence might just be the most potent tool we have. But what will we do with it? Inside a sterile MRI machine, a volunteer lies motionless as scientists prepare to map the brain's reaction to silence. The machine hums like a spaceship, but the real tension lies in what they won't hear next. For the first time, they're about to measure the invisible pain of conversational gaps. The experiment begins. A researcher speaks to the volunteer, then pauses for seconds. That's all it takes. Suddenly, The volunteer's dorsal anterior cingulate cortex lights up like a firework in the scan. Same region that flares when you burn your finger. The brain doesn't just notice silence. It feels it. This isn't just discomfort. It's your brain's ancient alarm system screaming. In tribal societies, silence meant exclusion, danger, or betrayal. Your ancestors who ignored those signals didn't survive long enough to pass on their genes. So today, your amygdala treats pauses like a predator lurking in the shadows. Flash forward to modern life. Your brain still craves the same validation it did in a cave. Every compliment, every nod, every verbal affirmation floods your ventral striatum with dopamine. Proof you're accepted, but silence. Silence starves that reward loop, and suddenly, your cortisol levels spike like you've just been rejected by the entire tribe. But here's the kicker. Your brain doesn't just feel the silence. It predicts what's coming next. Mirror neurons wire you to expect rhythmic turn-taking, like a musical duet. When the rhythm breaks, your brain screams, "Error!" Prediction error signals flood the insula, that visceral seat of discomfort, making you feel like you've been punched in the gut. Even though nothing's happened, imagine you're in a negotiation, and the other person stops talking. Your brain isn't just waiting, it's panicking. It's like your phone just died in the middle of an important call. You don't just feel annoyed. You feel exposed. That's why silence isn't just a tool, it's a psychological weapon. And your brain is the target. But not everyone reacts the same way. High-status individuals, CEOs, politicians, even seasoned negotiators, tolerate silence longer. Why? Because their baseline cortisol is lower. They've trained their brains to see silence as a tool, not a threat. It's not innate. It's learned, and that's the key to mastering it yourself. Let's zoom into the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex one more time. This isn't just a pain center. It's your brain's way of saying, something's wrong. And in a conversation, silence is wrong. It breaks the social contract, triggers your fight or flight response, and leaves you scrambling for an exit. But here's the twist. You can rewire this response. In tribal times, silence meant death. Today, it means leverage. Your brain still treats it like a threat. But now you know the secret. It's not the silence that's dangerous. It's your brain's ancient fear of it. And that fear, you can outsmart it. The next time someone falls silent in a conversation, don't panic. Your brain is just doing its job, alerting you to potential danger. But now you know the truth. Silence isn't a threat, it's an opportunity. And the key to unlocking it lies in understanding how your brain works, and how to work with it, not against it. But how does this play out in real life? What happens when you use silence, not as a weapon, but as a tool? Let's take a look at the science behind the silence that changed minds, broke deals, and even saved lives. Next, we'll explore how the world's most powerful negotiators, salespeople, and leaders have turned this ancient fear into their greatest advantage. Deep within the lab, researchers observe the volunteer's brain as they introduce a second layer of silence. A longer pause, this time with no verbal response at all. The dorsal anterior cingulate cortex flares again. But this time, the volunteer's eyes widen. They're not just feeling discomfort. They're realizing something deeper. The volunteer's heart rate spikes. Their breath quickens. Their brain is in overdrive, trying to make sense of the silence. But here's the irony. The more they struggle to fill the void, the more powerful the silence becomes. It's not just a pause. It's a psychological pressure point, and your brain is the only one who can't see it coming. This isn't just about feeling uncomfortable. It's about understanding the why behind it. Your brain treats silence like a social landmine. It's wired to avoid it, to fill it, to do anything to escape the discomfort. But the most powerful people in the world, they've learned to use it. They've turned their brain's greatest weakness into their greatest strength. Imagine you're in a job interview, and the interviewer falls silent after asking about your weaknesses. Your brain screams, "Danger!" But what if, instead of filling the silence, you use it? What if you let it work for you? The key is to stay calm, breathe, and let the other person's discomfort do the talking for you. What if you could turn that silence into a superpower? What if, instead of running from discomfort, you learn to master it? The science says it's possible. The question is, are you ready to give it a try? Silence closes million-dollar deals. It breaks hostage sieges. Most people speak to relieve tension. The elite stay quiet to weaponize it. Chris Voss, lead FBI hostage negotiator, discovered silence extracts truth faster than questions. He asks calibrated questions. Then he waits. 10 seconds. 20. The void becomes unbearable. Voss asks, "How am I supposed to do that?" Then mutes the mic. The hostage-taker's amygdala screams. They fill the vacuum with justification. Motives spill out. Leverage shifts instantly. The silence stretches. The captor hears their own pulse. Panic rises. They reveal the escape route. They lower demands. Silence did what threats couldn't. It hijacked their survival instinct. Wall Street's top 1% closers use the same playbook. They state the price, then silence. No justification, no upselling, just eye contact. The prospect's brain panics. They negotiate against themselves. Rep says, 200,000. Mutes Zoom. Prospect stares at screen. 5 seconds. 10. Prospect stammers. We can do 150. But maybe we stretch budget. The rep unmutes. Deal closed higher. Software engineer in Berlin. Annual review. Manager offers 5% raise. Engineer states number. Locks eyes. Counts 5 Mississippi. Manager shifts. Clears throat. Offers 15% plus equity package. Silence bought ownership. Pays Tana a bang. Vendor quotes price. Buyer stares. Counts silently to 10. Vendor sweats. Drops price 40%. No haggling words spoken. Primal discomfort forces concession. Culture independent. Biology universal. Hinge data reveals a modern truth. Profiles stating comfortable with silence get 27% more meaningful matches. Not more matches, better ones. Silence signals emotional regulation. It screams high status without speaking. Needy people fill air. Confident people fill space. The ability to sit in silence proves prefrontal dominance over amygdala. It tells the other brain, I am safe. You are the one uncomfortable. Capturing that silence requires pristine audio. The TNW A37 wireless lavalier delivers crystal clear sound with noise cancellation. Grab yours via the link below to record your own power moves. Silence is a scalpel. In the wrong hands, it manipulates. In yours, it protects. Next chapter. 3 copy-paste tactics to deploy tomorrow. And the one phrase that disarms the silence weapon instantly. 10 seconds. That is the gap between amateur and master. The FBI knows it. Billionaires use it. Markets prove it. Your move. Stay silent. Watch them break. Silence is not empty. It is a loaded weapon. Most people fire words wildly. Masters hold the trigger. This chapter hands you the safety catch. 3 tactics. 1 defense. 0 fluff. Tactic 1. The price anchor pause. State your number. Lock eye contact. Count 5 Mississippi internally. Do not blink. Do not explain. The air thickens. Their amygdala screams. They crack first. Money follows silence. Justification kills leverage. Words dilute value. Silence amplifies it. The first speaker loses the frame. Your number hangs in the air like a verdict. Let gravity do the work. Wait for their counter. Tactic 2. The clarification vacuum. Vague demand lands. Make it pop. Scale it. Fix the vibe. You reply. Say more. Then wait. 8 seconds. The void demands filling. They define their own chaos. You execute. Lazy managers outsource thinking. Silence forces insourcing. 8 seconds rewires the dynamic. They realize the absurdity. They clarify. You gain control. The power flip is instant. No argument needed. Just patience. Tactic 3. The exit silence. Toxic argument escalates. Insults fly. You stop. Entirely. No defense. No counter. Just stillness. Their amygdala spikes. No reactive fuel. The engine floods. They stall. You leave. Conflict feeds on reaction. Your anger is their dopamine. Silence starves the loop. The aggressor faces their own reflection. Discomfort rises. They break eye contact. They mutter. They walk away. You won without speaking. Defense against the weapon. Someone uses silence on you. Do not panic. Label it aloud. You are giving me space to think. Breathe deep. Prefrontal cortex engages. Amygdala quiets. You regain executive control. The spell breaks. Labeling reframes the power dynamic. You become the observer. They become the observed. The silence loses its threat. You can now ask, what is your actual number? Or, let us continue when ready. You lead. Practice drill. Tomorrow. Low-stakes chat. Coffee order. Uber ride. Insert one deliberate 10-second pause. Count internally. Watch their face. Micro-expressions bloom. Brow furrow. Lip press. I dart. That is your calibration data. Discomfort is the gym. Repetition builds tolerance. High status is high silence tolerance. Start small. 5 seconds, then 8, then 10. Soon you hold the room. The silence belongs to you. The world adjusts. You were born knowing this. Infants command worlds without words. Society taught you to fill air. Unlearn the noise. Reclaim the pause. The most dangerous person in the room is the one comfortable in silence. Be that person. What is the dark truth behind this event? Share your theory below and watch our next investigation. Hi everyone. Quick reminder. Subscribe for high-quality daily content. Sparkle's tomorrow's video will reveal this secret. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Shushing face.